Come to order, please. Would you stand and Member York, will you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, folks. Call the roll. Member Scully.
Present.
Member Dixon.
Present.
Member Schufelt. Member York.
Present.
Member Keough, present. All present and accounted for. Item of business is adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting. A motion?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes to our last meeting in January.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Next item is a review of proposed changes at chapter 285 of the city charter regarding zoning regulations. This issue has been referred to the planning board for a recommendation to the city council. We have, I know all of us have looked at it. I don't know if there's anybody ready to make a recommendation to the city council, or if not, how you would like to proceed.
I would like to make a motion that we use a subcommittee to get parties together to come to an understanding where everybody can agree and we could all understand what we're trying to do. I think it's unclear to many of us what was happening with these changes. So I would like to have put together a subcommittee, and I would be on it and Jim Schufelt would be on it.
Okay, so and then the subcommittee would
Can
talk to the parties that are involved and then
Yes.
report back to the planning board to make a recommendation to city council, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then if that's the motion?
Yes.
Peter,
Yes,
will that report be presented in the next meeting or by email?
I think it has to be done at a meeting. If it's necessary to have a special meeting.
Yeah, for discussion.
For discussion.
Depending upon when it's ready, it could be circulated by email first, I suppose, but it would have to be reviewed at a public meeting.
Public meeting.
And there would have to be a public hearing too.
Yeah, so, but meaning that
So next
they could
month will be
report
the
to us
public
in the
hearing.
meantime. But approval of a decision on a recommendation, we have to be made by the full planning board.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, is there going to be any problem because we've gone past our 62 days or?
So the way I'm looking at it now, technically, 62-day with the expiration of the 62-day clock, there was a deemed approval by the planning board. However, the planning board can also originate and make proposals to the council, make recommendations to the council. So whether this is I don't think we're going to insist. I don't think the city council would be that persnickety as to insist on the time limit for these amendments. And if you are taking extra time to flesh them out, make them more understandable, and perhaps make them better, it could go back to the council as a recommendation of the planning board,
Okay.
regardless of whether it's in conjunction with the original ordinance or not.
Okay, so do we have to let the city council know that this is what we're doing or just proceed?
I think you can just proceed. If it comes up, I'll let them know.
Thank you.
And I think since it's basically a whole new council since the ordinance was adopted or the amendment
That's
was
true.
proposed, I think they would probably welcome input from us on this topic, which
Okay.
is basically new to them too, I think.
Yes.
All right, so there's a motion made to refer this to a subcommittee consisting of Member Dickinson and Member Schufelt.
Schufelt.
And is there a second?
I'll
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
Do we have to name who else we want on the subcommittee, or was it just known that maybe,
Can't be more than two or else it'll be. a big
Well,
meeting.
To view, but they're
She wants members of
City
the
staff.
administration. I mean, city
Whoever you-
staff as necessary and appropriate.
Yeah, anybody you can meet with that wants to give you input on it, I think would be appropriate. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Next item is under old business, PLPB 2025-0038, 1525 4th Street. I see the applicant's representatives are here. Yes, sir. You're on.
I don't think.
No,
your
but the
mic
mic's
is
not
on.
on. You're up, but it's not on.
Sorry about that, Joe.
How about now?
Yeah.
There we
There you
go.
go.
Okay, for the record, good evening. I'm Joe Danable with the Environmental Design Partnership. We're the site civils and planners for the project. I'm also here tonight with Steve McKenzie of McKenzie Architects, who's the project architect. And I'm also here with two representatives of RJ Valenti Companies, Dean Murata and Sean Donnelly. So we got a full team here tonight to hopefully address any outstanding items that this board needs to have addressed. We have put together quite a thorough application at this point in time. We did receive the latest staff letter. There are a couple items on there. We would ask that as we go through, we'll talk about them, but any of those items that are not yet provided or addressed, we'd be looking for a conditional approval of the project based on providing that information. For example, one of those items is we know we got to get an easement to Mr. Morrissey. That easement in its draft form came across my desk and Dean's desk today. So we're reviewing that, getting it ready to be executed by the hotel, and then have that provided to the city to make sure that everything is taken care of and in there.
I would request that you provide it to me in draft form before it's executed, just so I can, in case I have input.
Yeah, certainly I'll take that back and talk to Nia about that and make sure it's in the right form for you at the right time to provide it to you.
Okay.
But I know we want to cover, maintenance is covered in there. The maintenance of Museum Place is going to be the responsibility of the Best Western. They're the ones that are benefiting from the ingress, egress, and the additional parking that we're providing on our property for that use. We've also talked with them about snow storage. They're going to maintain it and do the snow storage very similar to they do the rest of their lot, in that during minor events, they will take up potentially a parking space or two. And if larger snows come in, the snow is then hauled off site. They have the ability to load it in trucks and haul it off site. So that certainly the maintenance responsibility will be in that agreement as well.
So just to be clear, the underlying land is owned by the Best Western and you're the recipient of the easement, or is it vice versa?
It's vice versa. RJ Valenti Companies has purchased it as part of the transfer of land from the city and from CBTA.
And you're granting the easement to Best Western?
Correct. We are granting the easement to the Best Western.
Thank you.
Okay. Couple other things, and I'll get into them and go through them in the presentation, but that's one of the items that I know is outstanding. So again, I think everyone's familiar with the site. I won't bore everybody with where we're located. We've had probably about 6 meetings on this since last April, but we are moving along and have this ready to be wrapped up.
So I hate to, I was under the impression that the easement would also grant access to City of Troy emergency vehicles.
Yes. Yeah, so it's an ingress egress easement. Does that need to be a separate easement, or that's just covered in that easement language that the city has?
Doesn't have to be it could be covered in one document. Let's put it that way. But the point would be that you couldn't close it off to prevent
Not closing it
to
off.
prevent
It's
to
in
prevent access.
perpetuity to the hotel. for their use. And I think similar to any parking lot in the city, you know, in any development, if there's a fire in a building, the emergency responders have the ability to use that parking lot. I didn't know there'd have to be a specific easement over that for city use.
I think I would be more comfortable if it just granted city emergency access through there.
Okay,
Okay.
I will bring that back to the attorney as well.
For posterity.
Yeah.
Simple enough. And like I say, that probably makes sense to get it to you in a draft form if you do have some additions to it before everyone's executed and it's filed.
Yeah, obviously, any input of mine would be subject to the agreement of the parties. So.
Yep. So back into the site plan, the site plan, you know, in general remains out relatively unchanged since the last time this board saw it and issued a neg deck. 4 stories over top of podium. Podium is the parking garage, providing parking at 236 parking spaces. We're providing, again, that east-west access through Museum Place that's benefiting the Best Western and the emergency squad. Access to our parking garage is off 3rd Street and off of 4th Street. Along 4th Street, we have commercial frontage with the availability for a commercial shop. We're thinking it's going to be ultimately a coffee shop that will be leased there. In that space, we have outdoor dining to be established there underneath the overhangs as well as street side. We have street parking spaces. We've added in delivery zone parking with restrictive signage. We have indoor parking for bikes, outdoor parking for bikes, those long-term and the short-term parking spaces that have been provided. We have street trees, street lights. We're redoing basically everything from the curb and into the building will be completely reconstructed as part of this development. So I have a brand new streetscape out there for this beautiful new building that will be constructed. We're tying into the city's sewer system, storm sewer system, and the water system. We're working with Chris Marini on finalizing what needs to be done with that CSO as we go through and finalize that as well. As we said, there's several parcels that make up this overall piece of land. We provided a draft map, which will be merging all of these deeds into a single deed in ownership. That again will be finalized here shortly as we finalize these easements and get them into place, because that's part of that lot line plan. So that will ultimately be done as well, but it will be ultimately filed as one parcel prior to the filing and stamping of this site plan. We've provided a detail of the outdoor amenity space, the private outdoor amenity space for this community, where we're having the pickleball courts, outdoor, say, semi-outdoor kitchen, outdoor patios areas, sitting areas. We have the patios from the units that will be connected into this area, as well as connections to the main building and the hallways of the main building, so that any resident can come out and use this amenity space. This is where there was a comment on staff where we had about 2.5 to 3 feet between the parking spaces and the bike storage. We had extra room available in that first drive aisle, so we were able to slide those parking spaces over. And now we're providing a clear span of 5 feet between the parking spaces and the bike storage racks. So we'll be able to get those bikes in and out without any potential damage, ample room to maneuver those bikes, hanging them up on the lockable racks in that area.
Okay.
For my computer wants to update. This is the areas in red are identifying the indoor bike storage on the right and bottom of the screen along Museum Place within the building, and then in a lockable room on 4th Street. And then we have the outdoor storage, the short-term bike storage along Fulton Street. This is just a close-up view looking at the 4th Street frontage, the coffee shop, the main lobby, the main entrance to the building, some parking spaces, the streetscape, as well as the bike storage area. Things in the place for CDTA, the break room for CDTA.
So did you see the email from CDTA?
Have not.
Okay. They indicated that a 4th Street location, if I'm correct here, was would not work because of the distance. I think they proposed a location at the corner of Museum Place and the new 3rd Street.
This is all news to me. I was under the impression that was all worked out with CDTA and the architect prior to.
Other locations, not a problem.
Okay. Do they want to see that? I got it. They want to see it.
I got it. I got it. Came in today. I added it to the.
I guess the buses stage on New 3rd Street and the distance to walk around the block to get to the break room at the corner of Fulton and 4th would take too much time from there.
So you have no objection? You can move it there easily to the other side, other corner?
Yeah, we have storage areas in each corner of the building, so that simply make this a storage area and move that over there.
I think it makes more sense for the CDTA. So if it works for you, that's good.
Yep, we can make it accommodate it.
CDTA for a bigger solution there one day.
So now we get into the updated renderings of the building. I think as this board is aware, we've been in front of the HRC for the past month. When we did change the architectural character of the building to satisfy to the best of our ability what the HRC was looking at. We've essentially created, maybe I'll have Steve talk about it a little bit because he knows the architectural terminology much better than myself. But
Okay. I'm Steve McKenzie with McKenzie Architects. Good start, Joe. So I won't go in too much depth. We had some good meetings with the subcommittee with Jim and Tina and the historic reservation groups, and Eric was there as well, and Chris, and the owner as well. So basically, we have a modified design that, as the preservation committee said, fits into the historic context, but at the same time is a modern building. That's actually a comment that Robin had about the design. So we feel pretty good about how this fits in and how it's going to function for the tenants as well. So basically, as Joe said, it's a 4-story wood building over a non-combustible podium. And because we have a non-combustible podium, the ground level material clad in the building is going to be a stone veneer, a real stone veneer. On the upper floors above, where you see the brick materials on the street side, there'll be the red brick, and we haven't finalized the pattern, the size of the brick module or the colors, but this is a pretty good representation. And again, the intent is to be sympathetic in terms of the color palette you see in the neighborhood. Thinking of something probably in the red, orange, brown range. Happy to work with the historic committee as far as finalizing samples for the materials, which we haven't done yet, obviously. And then some of the later views, Joe's got the controls on this, but on the courtyard side, we'll have a stone finish. Again, the tone of that's going to be sympathetic to the Freer building and the bank that are across the street so that it fits in. So it's going to be a stow system using a composite of a foam insulation, layers of stucco, wire mesh, et cetera, to create the finished product. It's a stencil system. We have a sample that you can take a look at to get a feel for how the product comes off. And I sent Eric, I don't know if you shared it, but some information about a project in Lake Placid called the Grand Adirondack Hotel. It's on the main street, downtown Lake Placid. And the entire building's clad in the system. So it's a good illustration of how it comes off visually. You can actually Google it online and have a look at it. Or you could stay there if you like, obviously. So one of the things we like about the outcome of all this is it's a good balance in terms of what I characterize as accommodating the project constraints and designing from the inside out as well as the outside in. So with this approach, we're able to balance the budget for the owner and have something that's actually affordable in terms of what it costs to construct, because we're all sensitive to obviously the cost of housing, et cetera, these days. And that's always a real challenge for any product. So using the system enables us to do that with that for the upper 4 levels, achieve a brick aesthetic that fits in with the historic downtown. And as I said, gives us some flexibility in terms of the palette for something that's going to be suitable for the context. So as I said, we'll work with the committee in terms of finalizing samples, not only for the Stowe system. I can see Chris likes it, which is good. And same for the stone veneer at the base. So because the podium of the building,
Can I ask you a question
Sure.
about the base again, so
Yep.
we can clarify for
Uh-huh.
us? So all the way around the podium is going to be a natural material.
yes,
And then above is materials
system.
using stone. So even on the 3rd Street side,
mhm,
podium is still going to be the natural material that
Right.
carries all the way around.
all 4 sides, right?
Thank you.
And part of that, it's required to be type 1 non-combustible construction.
Right.
So the steel frame that creates the podium's got to be protected with either 2-hour or 3-hour rated assembly. So, I don't think you can do that with that system, not that I'm aware of. You can do non-combustible, but not the fire rated that I've seen. So this shows an image from the corner of 3rd Street and Fulton. You can see a little bit of the inside of the courtyard. We have a later view that shows a view of the pickleball courts, et cetera. So the interior of the site where we have the amenity courtyard is going to be the same Stowe system, but it's going to be a simulated limestone finish, similar to what's on the base of the building. So once we pick the stone cladding for the ground floor, we'll use that as a guide for the final color palette for the stone. And really final palette in terms of the mortar color for the brick and getting a sympathetic tone for the color in the brick itself as well. So they have a lot of flexibility in terms of how they can do that with this system. So we feel pretty good about the ability to achieve something pretty close to what you see in these renderings. So this view shows the courtyard. Again, it's going to be a simulated limestone finished metal panel where it's black at the spandrel areas between the windows and on the balcony areas. The window's going to have a black finish on the frame, same for the doors at the entries and for the units. You can't really see the lighting on the building, Eric. I do have updated versions of the black and white elevations that have the lighting identified. It's the same as the earlier version, just so you have that. And there's soffit lighting in the covered walkway, which is a downlight. So there'd be good illumination, but not something that's too much in terms of respecting dark sky considerations. Every balcony on the unit's going to have a wall-mounted light. That's going to be a downlight by the door from the unit out to the balcony. And then on the perimeter, if you could go back to the stone base. So on the perimeter, besides the hooks for hanging the flower baskets around the base of the building, above that, you'll see a wall-mounted fixture, which is an up and down wall wash for the building. So that'll be a nice accent for the exterior as well. So all of that's on the black and white drawing that has the legend identifying materials, and it identifies the light fixture types as well, the same ones as what we submitted before as far as that's concerned. So I think in a nutshell, that's it. Any questions about the renderings? Sure.
It just, that podium
Mhm.
projects from the face of the building, does it?
No, it's more or less
Same
flush.
plan?
It's going to have some relief in terms of a small projection at the base of the building. You can see it in the 3D view there at the top of the stone. So that it's not, again, trying to be too traditional, but it suggests sort of a contemporary translation of a belt course, if you will, at the top of the stone.
So is the natural stone on the same plane as the brick?
hmm
All right, so
Yeah.
your drawing here shows people sitting there. So on the first floor, is that recessed?
Yes,
then?
that's a covered walkway
Okay,
or
so,
covered sitting area.
so it's the plane of the glass on the first floor is recessed from the
Right.
face of the building.
Right.
And it looks like that podium has a roof on it, does it, or a deck above it, or is it open?
Yeah, level 2, you go to the courtyard view. So level 2 is really the top of the parking, the so-called podium. So
Mhm.
that ceiling of the podium has to be non-combustible construction as well. So that forms the floor of the courtyard where you see the pickleball courts and
On the
walking
Fourth
area.
Street side?
It's open on the Third Street side. You don't see it on Fourth Street. Do you have a plan that shows that, Joe?
No, I'm just looking at the rendering here. It looks like,
Mhm.
why I'm asking, it looks, the shading is such that it looks like there's light at the top of the windows, which would mean the light's coming from above.
Yeah, I think that's just the software we use for the rendering, that sometimes the sunlight appears as a reflection in the window. So if I understand what you're saying, which view was that where you saw that? The Fourth Street side?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, lower right. So I assume you're seeing a reflection in the glass from
Okay.
the sun orientation.
So on the second floor, then,
Mhm.
do those people have balconies?
Everyone has a balcony,
And
right?
they are also recessed into the building instead of
Yes.
projecting out? Gotcha.
Right. They're tucked in between the, what I call them bump outs, which have the angled walls on the courtyard side. And that's again, so everybody has a view of the river
Mhm.
on the, let's say the west side of the building that fits within the courtyard exposure.
Good, thanks, Steve.
Sure. Other questions? Is everything clear?
I had a question about fireproofing. Like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of talk about
Mhm.
EVs and, fires and all that.
Uh-huh.
What is you say you're gonna use non-combustible, was it gonna be concrete?
It's a steel frame with a concrete composite floor system.
So it would be like the rating for that. I mean, worst case scenario, what would happen if you had if a car did start on fire
Sure.
underneath there?
So where you have housing over parking, it's a 2-hour requirement. So that'll be a 6-inch concrete composite metal deck, and concrete slab. So that'll be the ceiling of the parking. Bear with me here. So where it's a use other than housing over parking, it's a 3-hour separation. So it'll be either lightweight concrete or a thicker concrete slab in those areas. Anybody have some water
Water?
or a gin and tonic or something? Anything.
Here's a vodka.
Yeah.
So anyway, the columns inside the parking will have a concrete bottom for protection from cars hitting the column, et cetera, damage protection. So again, so that's what the building code requires for the podium, 2-hour separation where it's housing over parking, 3-hour for any other use over parking.
So if there was a car on fire, worst
Mhm.
case scenario, they can't put it out. I mean, so that,
Well, it can't set the building on fire. It's non-combustible by
so no matter,
definition.
so no worries about any steel
No.
failing.
No.
Okay.
And the 2-hour rating means exactly what it sounds like. It means that it'll survive the fire event for 2 hours before it fails. So that's part of the protection we have to provide for the steel frame at the base of the building, which probably be a combination of layers of sheetrock that achieve that. But we can't use wood. It's all got to be non-combustible materials to do that. So not hard to do. Done all the time. We've done many projects like this. The other thing you should know is the parking level is naturally ventilated. So where you see the openings at the back of the covered walkway, That's actually going to be a mesh. Part of it is going to be used for growing plants where we think plants can do well. You see the planters around the base of the building in some areas, like along 3rd Street. So part of it is creating a bit of a green wall, if you will, but the fact that it's open and actually ventilated on 3 sides, not on 4th Street so much because we have interior spaces there, that's going to help the protection in terms of, let's just say, fire safety. If there's a concern about car charging on the 3rd Street side, that's a logical place to put it. The other thing about that side, there's nothing above it in that area for the parking. It's just a podium and that's it. So I guess the pickleball courts might be at risk, but you know,
You could do that.
that's minimizing the hazard, I think.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
sure. Other questions?
So you can fit all 27, was it 27, 24 EVs
24.
on the
On
3rd
the-
Street,
On the 3rd Street side, right.
basically under the,
Right. Yeah,
Pickleball
that's the logical, safest place to put them.
There might be a couple that are not along there, but
okay,
that's the majority of them.
okay,
Mhm.
Everything
And-
we're doing is trying to be as close to that as possible.
right.
Do any of you drive electric cars, by the way? Ah, excellent. Tesla?
GV7.
Yes. Yeah, it's even better.
Love it.
Okay.
I haven't been to a Stewart's for gas in 2 years.
Okay, I think that's on the, all the questions on the design. How about some of
Mhm.
the other issues, probably not for Steve? Do we have other questions?
Well, I think the subcommittee needs to get together again, probably at least one more time to go over the materials and the mesh. And I think they agreed to the lighting. And I think, I don't know if we got a message from Jeremy and Zach about the lighting, which they
Mhm.
think is fine. They'd like to keep it all at the same, so there's not different kilowatts or whatever they call
Right.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
It,
temperature.
it
on
takes
the-
very little lighting to
Yeah.
be effective on the
Yeah.
building. I think there
But
was
to-
some concern about, about the covered walkway areas from, call it what you will, I guess, a security standpoint. So, but all of that is flexible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Okay, and I think I mentioned to you on our phone call last week
mhm.
that we had discussed, Jim, Jeremy, and I had discussed doing the corner windows flat.
Mhm.
And Jeremy had mentioned this in an email. So I think there's a few things that we still need to go over, but
Yeah,
I'm sure it's
sure.
gonna all be certainly
Yeah,
workable.
as I said before, it's an evolutionary process,
Yeah.
but one problem with making that flush is the stone is not going to be flush. Like we have that projection at the base at the top. So one of the problems with pulling back the box bay flush with the brick is it's not going to be a good relationship with those kinds of projections.
And we can, we
So
can,
that's, so it's a
discuss that.
way to kind of finesse the transition. When you look at the base of the building, where you see the boxway come below the stone,
Mhm.
that's what I'm talking about. So if we push that back and make it flush, it's going to look a bit awkward for how that works with the adjacent stone area. So the other thing is changing the plane of the facade is what adds interest. It adds shadow lines and it creates more of a three-dimensional
Okay,
appeal, if you will.
right.
So there's several reasons why we think that's important to do that. So,
Okay.
but happy to discuss.
Yeah, and we can get something together and
Yep.
certainly finalize
Yeah.
pretty soon.
Okay.
I have a question and I don't even know if it's in our realm, but I was just wondering if one of your elevators, I don't see any specs on your elevators in the
Mhm.
garage, if one of them would be a freight elevator where you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
move,
right.
the furniture and all that good stuff.
Right. One has to be a gurney size by
Mhm.
definition
Right,
for
the
the
EMS.
code.
Mhm.
What's that? Oh, sorry.
I'm assuming that would be the one on the 4th Street side or,
The elevators, you mean?
yeah, well, there's
Yeah,
one on
there's-
the north and south and then there's one on
Yeah.
4th Street. I would just,
I'm thinking we should probably discuss that with the city as well,
Mhm.
what you're comfortable as the move-in entry. It could be any side, could be
Mhm.
easement for the hotel side. But we have to look at parking a van. We should probably discuss that. Joe, the best place to park a moving van, or probably in Fulton Street. I think the north side or the south side make the most sense as far as that's concerned.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when people move in and out, where will their parking be for getting their trucks and whatever to move in?
Well, that's what we'll look at, probably
Probably on the museum.
on the museum
On the
place.
museum
Yeah,
place side.
right.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Makes sense for considering.
Mhm.
Well, you'll be able to secure that part anyway, whereas on Fourth, Fulton or Third, you're not gonna be able to block off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Yeah, I only have one more question. Going backwards to Museum Place,
Mhm.
and I don't know if we had covered this once already, but control for the public going down that now your street.
Mhm.
Have we given consideration to all the contingencies of what could happen there? Somebody goes ripping down Fourth, decides to cut through there. It seems like that may be a thing to avoid going all the way by
Mhm.
Dinosaur Barbecue and around. Is there any consideration for a speed control or anything like that to
Yeah,
kind of make it harder?
I
for
think that'd
somebody?
be a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
One of the things that we're doing is that street's narrow with parallel parking, so there are traffic calming features, your narrow entrance, you have to slow down to take a turn in, you have narrow space going down the road, you're tight between two buildings, there's street trees there, and then again, it's narrow with the, say, gated appearance of a gate on Fourth Street side of that, so you'd have to go Third to Fourth, it's gonna be one way.
right. So it's going to be from Third to
Third to
Fourth or
Fourth.
Fourth to Third?
It's gonna
Fourth,
be from Third to Fourth.
Fourth. okay. All right, right.
Yeah, I mean,
So you'll have signage and, you know, all
Mhm.
that, that'll, my concern was the Fourth Street into Third. That way, it seems like would be a natural thing for some crazy people to do. So if there's signage or speed control.
Joe, you're
whatever.
carrying the sidewalk through there, right?
What's that?
You carrying the sidewalk through
Yes,
Museum
there's-
Place? That's the big differentiator, kind of indicates private, more of a driveway versus, striped crosswalks across normal streets.
The entrance on Third and Fourth is continuous sidewalk,
Right.
not asphalt.
Do you have speed bumps downtown, like where you elevate the pedestrian crossing? Those are really effective. There's some in Burlington, right on the street where I live. I walk the dog along.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Oh, sorry.
I can't hear.
The, where you elevate the crosswalk and make the speed bump the width of the crosswalk, that's very effective for slowing people down. We've added quite a few now in Burlington. There's several on the street where I live, where I walk the dog frequently. So that'd be easy to do here, simply adding, thickness to the pavement, basically. So
So I've been asking for one of those for 4 years.
what? for
In
your-
front of City Hall.
Oh, I
here.
thought you meant your driveway or something.
No, the,
If we,
No,
if we don't win
no,
our
the
federal
crosswalk
grant
speed.
application, you guys can.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
yeah. I thought it would work.
But we're gonna
Yeah.
add an extra floor and another 4 units to that.
A speed bump would be good there. I mean, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing slows you down like hitting your head on the roof of your car.
Yeah,
That's right.
Particularly in the summer, it seems like downtown is a sport for some tuners and,
Mhm.
They'll
find their way in there.
we see some crazy stuff.
I'd like to see that for the crosswalk to Chamberlain Park as well, across Third Street. I'm not sure where the crossing is now, if there is one, or if it's at the corner, but I would see a lot of people going to the park, again, to walk their dog, whatever. I certainly would if I lived there. So something to think about for Chris.
No, I'm laughing because, that's a great thing for the developer to do, Steve.
I'm not the developer though, so I,
Volunteering extras.
Right, I have to be
In all
careful.
seriousness, and I haven't checked up on it. I don't know if the results are out, but we have a federal grant application now, Safe Streets for
Mhm.
for this whole corridor from this building down Third up. Yeah, I mean, and Fourth as well. Haven't heard results on it.
Hmm.
So we've been there's been multiple attempts at doing pedestrian and traffic safety improvements in this whole corridor. So
Yeah.
we do win.
So it's pending.
We'll tie it all together, but if not, I'm honestly serious. If I think that the burden's on you guys to put in some pedestrian crossing improvements, which you could just work with my office on. I'll bug you when you come for your street opening permit. Don't worry. I was gonna add, so don't give them a hard time. It's a good idea.
Even for all the bus drivers' bathroom breaks, they have to cross Third, so they're gonna get hit by their own bus if they're not careful.
Well, I don't, yeah. I wish the buses weren't there to begin with, but that's
Do you gentlemen
it's a way,
That's another-
way larger animal. Yeah.
Mhm.
want to address some of these items in the staff recommendations here?
Um,
I know several
We
we've
got-
already talked about.
yeah, I'm just gonna go through the list pretty quick here. We did get the variances needed for our setbacks. That was granted by the ZBA. It sounds like based upon what has been determined, we're in the downtown edge zone, so the materials we are choosing to use meet code and we don't need variances for that. We talked about the easement. That's one of the elements on there. That language is, like I say, draft circulated our desk today. We'll make some tweaks and get that over to Rick. A little bit on the, we talked about the lighting. We talked about snow storage on Museum Place and the maintenance of that area. Some of the details of the, say, the benches in the private open space. Haven't provided them. Honestly, we don't know what we're going to use for benches 2 years from now. And it is private. It's not a public space. And that section of the code is pretty specific to public. So I think we're getting through that. We are going to make a beautiful terrace or amenity space for our residents. It's not going to be anything that's going to be an eyesore, but we got to, again, it's a couple years from now until that's built. Materials keep changing and what's available keeps changing.
Can I just ask you a question on your terrace? I know when we first started this, you said there wasn't going to be any drainage on the terrace roof. And I saw on your specs that are new now, there is drainage pipes, Nioplast drainage on your terrace.
Yeah, so I guess I don't recall saying there would never be drainage out there.
I
mean, it's always been anticipated that it's going to need some internal drainage, and we're doing a certain layer of permeable stone to adhere to address some of the stormwater concerns.
Okay.
And there has to be a way for that water to get off there. It's
Okay.
not just going to sheet flow out on the Third Street.
All right, thank you.
Joe, are you still planning to use radiant sidewalks for snow?
So that's the details we're finalizing. We have to get MEP and structural involved to make those final decisions. I know we've talked about snow removal up there, and it is our anticipation, or we are going to be maintaining the pathways during the winter. So those pathways will be cleared either by snow removal equipment like a snow blower or the radiant heat. And it all depends on how we make out with structural and MEP as we advance that portion of the engineering, the building design.
Other items?
Last item, and we did talk about this in the report, we increased the spacing to provide 5 feet of spacing between the cars and the bike storage. I think that's generally all the comments in a geotech report. Is that now available and done, or so geotech report is now done, so we can provide that to the city at this point in time. So I think that we've addressed all of them, or we got a little bit of a loose end that we can deal with. Working with city staff, we get a conditional approval.
Okay. Any questions? Further questions?
Public.
Public hearing. So we'll open it up to a public hearing. Thank you. Was any member of the public here? Is there any member of the public here to speak on this proposal? Welcome. Identify yourself for the record, please.
James Rath. I live at 398 William Street. Actually, I came to speak about the chapter amendments, but I'll submit that as a written comment. And decided to stick around. I'm actually very impressed by the project. I haven't been keeping tabs on it since the first public meeting that they held. So really cool to see how far the project's come. Overall, I think it looks really exciting. I really appreciate the conversation around traffic safety as well and making improvements for pedestrians. I just wanted to flag, I heard Chris reference the application the city put in, which is also very exciting. Through the Capital Region Vision Zero action plan, the corridor was redesigned in terms of a concept for Fourth. So those are changes that this project could implement, especially since they are addressing challenges in the right of way already. They're already addressing sidewalks. It wasn't clear to me if they're moving curb, but something as simple as installing curb extensions at the intersections, touching the parcel, I think would be a huge improvement. There's been a bit of conversation around raised crosswalks, which I also think would be a really big improvement, especially at the mid-block crossing closer to the Best Western. I just wanted to emphasize that these are all things that the Planning Commission can insist on and ask for as a host community benefit. So I ask all of you here to, insist that the project includes these sorts of infrastructure improvements. I appreciate Chris's comment about, willing to work with the team through his office. But I would certainly encourage this body to include it as part of your site plan review and your approval. And then I also just wanted to note, not getting too in the weeds here, but I appreciated, I saw the rendering didn't include a sidewalk across the driveways, but it seems clarified that it will include sidewalk across the driveways. It'd be really great to see if that sidewalk could be maintained the same grade as the rest of the sidewalk and not dip down to street level, and that grade change could be handled between the main walkway and the actual roadway itself. Lastly, I just wanted to highlight, I haven't been able to review the landscaping plan, but there is a tendency for projects to include the same street trees over and over again. And so I'm just encouraging this body to insist that there's a more diverse street tree species selection instead of the typical red maples that we see on the streets and the arborvitaes that we tend to see in the landscaping. Again, without having been able to review, I just want to, hopefully those are different species. So yeah, please ask the project to include the streetscape changes that we all seemingly agree are very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this proposal?
Yes, we have one online. Stephen Maples would like to. Go ahead, Stephen.
Greetings, everyone. I think everyone probably understands what my comments are, but I just want to say that this project has evolved incredibly well. I think the changes are fantastic. I'm just going to, raise again that there's still several elements that are not in compliance with the law and with our comprehensive plan, including the entrances and the ground floor retail. I really just want to put this comment on the record stating that is such, and that, the board is, setting a precedent by doing this, and, just want to make that comment, and thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Is there anyone else to speak?
We have Jeremy Falls of the HRC online as well. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Thank you, Eric. Again, Jeremy Falls from the Historic Reviews Commission. I just want to take a moment and say thank you to Steve McKenzie as well as the rest of the team for their work with the HRC. I believe that it's very much benefited the project and will benefit the community, and that we continue to look forward to discussing the material and other items that have been brought forward. So once again, thank you, and for the planning board for your response to our recommendations.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Now we'll close the public hearing and we'll open it up to further board discussion.
So I think that, Mr. Chairman, that we're at the point now where there's a few outstanding issues, very few. One is still the draft easement and a finalized easement.
Well, the engineer has a list of potential conditions, let's say.
Okay. So if we could, work that out quickly here while we still converse for a second. I would suggest that since there isn't a final determination of the colors and the stow, that the brick color they're going to use, that the subcommittee, the planning board continues to work with the HRC on that after our consideration tonight. And with that said, if Chris, you could speak to the conditions.
Can we clarify what details still need to be resolved with?
Mainly,
the HRC subcommittee?
yeah, mainly the brick colors, the mortar colors, this color, the stow. I don't know what else.
I don't know. I think we're still going to discuss the windows that protrude a little bit on the corners. I'm sure we can come to some kind of agreement. Just discuss it just to make sure it's out there with Jeremy.
So I think we have a couple of alternatives. I mean, it's pretty close to ready for approval or is ready for approval. So there are some issues that we want to make sure are met before the project's completed, I guess. So we could either, put it off to another meeting, or we could give approval tonight conditioned on some specifics. And I have to be specific in the record and what basically would trigger completion of those conditions. So, and that could be basically to the satisfaction of the city engineer, I think would be a way of resolving the conditions. Otherwise, it would have to come back to the full board to approve it. So whatever your pleasures are, just laying out some options.
Yeah, so I think that, if we could make those conditions to, and Chris and Rich working on the easement to his satisfaction, and Chris working on a couple of those final smaller details with the subcommittee considering going back and forth a little bit on the actual colors and things like that. Instead of having another meeting and going all the way down the road, I think these are items that could be easily worked out within our each individual scopes here. I also would like to thank you guys. I mean, Tony and I sat in with a couple meetings and we pushed pretty hard on the HRC, and Steve worked, through the Super Bowl and over that weekend to kind of meet the direction we had gone in, and it was some substantial changes. And, I think that process, if we had started a little bit earlier, would have been better, but, we ended up with a product that seems to be everyone is pretty happy about. And that's a rare thing here, So, and all sides, I mean, the developer, the architect, the construction people and the city to all be on the same page. This is a really valuable thing, not just for this project, but showing that in the future, we're prepared to work with people who want to build something here in Troy. And even the people that are, really vehement about how things look. And so, I can't thank everyone enough for that success at this point. And now we all need to follow through and make sure we come up with a project that we're all worked on here. So with that said.
So if I could suggest a mode of proceeding here, perhaps the city engineer could recite the list of conditions for the record. The board could hear them and if there are any additions or modifications they want to make, then you could make your motion. I presume it's going to be a motion for approval, conditional approval based on the conditions that were recited by the city engineer.
Perfect.
Okay.
If you want.
Thanks, Chris, you're on.
Yeah. I'm just be consistent. I'm leaving out things that are handled through permitting, like curb cut permit that we want in, and eventually street opening permit, sword permit, and any other relevant permits that are always required, right? So not explicitly conditioning those. All right, so the following proposal of approved conditions is for your consideration of
So
motion on.
you're proposing, you're reciting the conditions that the board may move to approve the project.
Receipt of an easement agreement and review and approval by Troy Corporation Council. Subsequent submission of the lot line adjustment and consolidation plan. Final review and acceptance of architectural details by the city engineer. Well, I would say like separately, I'm obviously going to correspond with Tony and Jim to get their opinion and, you know, a blessing. Submission of geotechnical engineering report to city engineer. Submission of sewer report to director of Troy DPU to his satisfaction. I think that's it.
No, there's,
Well,
we had,
it's covered by the sewer permit and we have to work it out. I can note it in there.
yeah, I think.
It doesn't hurt,
I
right?
think you
Yeah.
should know.
All right. Completion of the required combined sewer overflow permit offset project prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy as reviewed and verified by Director of Troy DPU. So that's triggering in the CO phase. It's written, again, it's also Troy DPU through the sewer permit can give you more excessive stipulations, quite frankly, you know. And as discussed, we already know we have to.
And I thought I heard you recite before that the easement will include the snow removal plan.
The easement will include the maintenance responsibility. We can talk to the Best Western and see, but they may be storing it on their property, which is off our site. But I mean, I did provide emails to the city today. I don't know if Eric got them, of the hotel identifying how they are going to maintain that snow.
There's a pretty short note, hearsay report of.
So you want something more with snow removal as well?
Is there Eric, do you have a snow removal plan for the project or not?
No.
Is that something you think the board should make conditional?
Yeah, if they're not going to identify it on the site plan, which is typical, then if it's going to be bound in an easement agreement, then that easement should sufficiently address snow storage.
But so that's museum place. It won't be more than that. What about the rest of the project, I guess?
So I heard a couple of things about radiant sidewalks or
That's only up in the podium.
I mean, I don't have anything to address snow storage.
So there is no
If you
need
want the
for-
emergency services.
Oh, the emergency.
Easement included,
The easement will include
Then-
emergency services, yeah.
that access, I think, that would be one of the most important parts of the snow removal, right? Is maintaining that, so along museum place,
Should.
yeah. Do you want it in there? I don't,
Yes.
or we just check the building permit when it comes in and make sure it's there. I
We
don't
can
know.
always hold it hostage.
That's all these conditions are anyways.
I'm sorry, you were saying something.
Yeah, so
So-
on the terrace, the snow from the walkways will be placed on the green areas. So that, I mean, I can simply show that as snow storage. It's not going to amount to anything. We're not going to open up the pickleball courts in the winter. The rest of the site, other than Museum Place, is city sidewalks. Do we need to provide? snow
Well, I
storage?
presume you're going to clear the entranceways to the parking garage?
Correct, which is all city right of way in the city and the sidewalks, you know, maintenance of and removal of the snow from the sidewalks. Do we have to identify snow storage for the sidewalks? That's the only.
That's what I'm not sure of. I mean, you're going to have a substantial footprint, a large sidewalk all around the place. I mean, it is a landowner's responsibility to clear the abutting sidewalk. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
the
Eric,
concern would be that you'd affect like ADA and pedestrian accessibility if you didn't have dedicated snow storage areas or a plan to keep the sidewalks clear, which can.
so there really should be a snow storage plan for the project, right?
Yeah, let's condition it then. Sorry. Another one by me, I assume?
Yeah.
All right, let's want to restart?
No.
No, okay.
Just add it on.
1, 2,
We'll just interpret this
4,
and then.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, do you want to articulate that differently, or are you satisfied with the
So
discussion?
at the end there, after the discussion, we added the condition that the access to emergency services for Museum Place will be included in the easement agreement or a separate easement agreement. And also city engineer to sign off on snow storage plan or snow removal plan prior to issuance of a building permit.
All right, so then we'll entertain a motion to approve the application conditioned on the conditions articulated by the city engineer.
So how about the pedestrian crosswalks? You said something about.
Yeah, so the reason,
control.
just the reason why I want to talk offline about that is, one, we have a federal grant application, and two, they're almost certainly going to need to do an offset project, which requires digging in and installing new storm sewer, ripping up the roadway, depending on where exactly their project exists, may require them to restore that road and restripe it at that point anyways. So there's a few moving parts with that, essentially.
But you believe you can handle that through the permitting process, is that correct?
Yeah,
We don't have to address it.
no, and yeah, it's just depends when construction happens. It depends what the city's paving schedule is like. It depends on a few different things. So I prefer to just handle that internally with the applicant.
All right. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to move this to a final approval based on the conditions as presented by our city engineer, Chris Marini.
I second that.
Discussion on the motion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Look
Good
forward
luck.
to getting this project vertical.
That was exciting.
Thank you.
Notes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Can you get
Well, that's another issue. That takes a lot of like where the grades end up, like you need a survey, you know, it's a lot.
The next item is 2024-0003, 60 113th Street. The applicant is here, a representative.
What is the question?
Identify yourself for the record, please.
Sure. Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Brian Sipperly with Verity Engineering. And just as a quick recap, we represent the owner and the applicant, Energy Catalyst Technologies, in their pursuit to construct a 10,000 square foot expansion on the building. Just to get another quick recap, this project was in front of the board initially in December. We received a number of variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals that allowed us to come back and continue the discussion in January. And I believe at the last month's meeting, there were really no open issues. We committed to and solved a lot of the comments on the staff report. And I believe we were just waiting for ministerial action to conduct a public hearing this evening.
Okay, so we're ready for the hearing if you are.
I am.
Any questions for the applicant before we have the public hearing? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any member of the public here to speak on this application? So come forward. There being no one here to, Eric, do you have anyone on?
No, I have no one on Zoom.
All right, so there being no one wish to speak on the application, we'll close the public hearing, open it up to further board discussion.
I'm very happy with the proposal.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be
Any
a great thing
questions
for
from
Burke.
the board? Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we give them final approval at the public hearing tonight.
Second,
I'll second that motion.
is discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries unanimously.
You're done.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good luck.
Good night.
The next item is 2026-0001, 1016 Madison Avenue. How you doing, sir? Can you identify yourself for the record, please?
My name is Bill Mafrici with Hirschberg and Hirschberg. My name is Bill Mafrici with Hirschberg and Hirschberg. We're the engineers for the project. It's a 4-lot subdivision consisting of two duplex homes. We were first in front of the board in January, subsequently received some variances, area variances in early February. Received some staff comments also in late January, which included the implication of an urban runoff plan, which we prepared and submitted. And I think we've addressed the majority of the comments, or all the comments that we've received. With that, I'll open up for any questions from the board.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear the last.
You can.
I couldn't hear, what was it?
I just opened it up for questions from the board.
Okay.
That's all. Sorry.
Does anyone have questions?
No.
Okay. Okay, so no questions. I guess we have to open up a public hearing. You saw the staff recommendations. I couldn't hear you too well, so I don't know if you addressed this issue about applying for a sewer and water permit.
Yeah,
through
the
public-
applicant will apply
You're
for.
okay with all that? You
Yes,
understand
sir.
that obligation? Okay, and the curb cut? Yeah, okay. All right, fine. Is there any member of the public here to speak on this application? Anyone to speak on this application? Eric, anyone? No? Okay, so there being no member of public wishing to speak on the application, we'll close the public hearing. We'll open it up to further staff discussion. Any discussion? Any questions? Is there a motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we give
Subdivision approval.
final, the subdivision, and he got all his variances. I make a motion that we give him final approval.
Is there a second?
A second.
Discussion on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And the motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Good
Thank you.
luck. Next item is 2026-0002, 10 Spring Avenue.
Hi, folks. Hi.
Hi.
Your name, please.
Dan Morelli with Morelli Design and Construction, representing the applicant Mike Melville and his proposal to construct a new wood frame multi-use facility for professional offices and warehouse space with landscaping and general site improvements at 10 Spring Avenue, which is located in a business development district, neighborhood 3, served by public water and public sewer. Mr. Melville couldn't be with us tonight. He's out of town with his family. The reason I bring the board is because we did make some adjustments to the plan, which you haven't seen yet based on the staff comments that we received last week. Been in communication with Eric regarding the site. I think the improvements will suit the site very well. And I just want to review those with you. At the last meeting, We got some positive feedback from the board, and I think everybody was favorable for the project. I think the improvements we made are going to make the project work a little bit better. And I'd like to walk you through that. So one of the conditions was that there was no snow storage at the upper level of the lot. So what we basically did was push the retaining wall back to the property line, keep the green space where it was, and remove some arborvitaes, make that snow storage up in the upper portion of the lot, keeping the lower portion of the lot down here for snow storage. And we also pushed the vinyl two-sided enclosure for dumpster in that area too. So this portion will be paved from the bottom all the way to the top. This portion will be paved to hold the dumpster. This area here will be used for snow storage on the upper lot. And of course, the lower lot down here has its own snow storage. We do need to get 3 variances. We're in the process of getting those submitted by the end of this week for a side yard setback, front yard setback, and the minimum 2-story structure. As discussed last time.
Excuse me, Dan.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt your presentation. I just want to let the board know that these recent changes, the city staff have not had an opportunity to view yet. So just for your knowledge.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Yeah, and I apologize about that. We literally just got around to making those changes yesterday, and we didn't have a chance to send them off. But we will get those to Eric in the morning.
We just want to make sure, because I'm barred from being able to accept new material after a certain time in the review process. So items that are certainly within a week of the meeting are not going to make it to their inbox.
Okay, understood. And again, the changes are basically based on the staff report that just came out. And we're in favor of the items listed in the staff report. So they're not any changes that we just made. They're favorable to what the staff is recommending. We did provide some lighting details for the wall mounted lights that are going to be on the building. I believe you do have that in your package. We also provided the trees we're going to use on the rear and the front of the lot. And we did list the material that we plan on using on the building. The dumpster enclosure is basically going to be a 6-foot vinyl 2-sided enclosure. On top of the retaining wall, we'll have a aluminum fence just to keep people from falling over and down into the paved area. And in your packet, you have the adjusted windows. We're going to do double windows on the front just to get the transparency. On the first floor, our intent is to keep the front building a 1-story building, and the rear building 2-story building, but not with a 2nd floor. It'll be a clear story, 2-story building. So those are the variances we're going to seek for that. Hopefully we'll have those in place and granted prior to the next planning board meeting, so we'll get our approval at that point. Basically, the building is going to be, the front of the building will have a 2-foot raised area brick with a stone cap, 2-inch stone cap, and vinyl siding. The owner hasn't selected a color yet, but he'll review that. He's a sider. He's got good quality siding. He'll review colors with the planner prior to next meeting. So we'll be able to present samples to you. And we'll build our corners and our trim on the front of the building out of 4-inch AZAC, white AZAC trim. The windows will be white aluminum clad, double hung windows. And I think that's all we had. We also located where the lights are going to be on the building. They're code compliant lights. Typically, we use those in the municipalities we work in. They're well received. And we'll put one over each overhead door on the side of the building, one between the windows as we ascend up the ramp to get to the back parking lot, and then 2 on the front of the building. And I think that's really the only changes that we made. We did, not in the best location, we will be adding a bike rack. We just kind of put it in a bad location as a placeholder. It's right here. We will be adding a bike rack to the site. And we just got to find a location for that that's suitable for the site. And that'll be presented at the next submission and for the next meeting. If I look at the staff comments, I believe I've covered everything.
Can you address the sidewalk comment?
Yes, I will. So basically, we've got a flush painted pedestrian connection from this point at the corner of the grass area in the front back to the building. We did return the sidewalk at a flush level. The front sidewalk will be put in, and then we returned a 3-foot strip along the grassy area back to that pedestrian strip so that the sidewalk actually turns into the site. And that's a new addition that we had just made. So that's not in your plan. And the reason we want to keep this part flush is because obviously we have parking and we don't want to drive over a raised walk. Any other questions?
Board, any questions? Staff, any questions?
So everything on here for the staff recommendations, security cameras, blah, 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 that's all going to be.
It is, and we actually put a note down here in our miscellaneous notes, which you don't see on this submission, but you will see on the next, that security cameras will be put in place, and we'll have the location for those once Mr. Melville talks to the security company.
Okay. Do you have any idea when you're going to be going before the ZBA?
We're hopeful to go before them. We're going to get the submission in this week. We're hoping to get on their next meeting agenda so that we can come back to you with 3 variances granted at the next meeting if we can make it in time.
Excuse me, you didn't apply yet?
No, we're going to do that this week. Everything is filled out, but we have not submitted anything yet.
The deadline for the March ZBA meeting was last Wednesday.
Yeah, we didn't make that.
Okay. Reach out to Angelina and speak with her. I can't make any guarantees that you'll be able to make March.
That's fine. We might have to push the planning board meeting for another month, but we'll certainly get to her first and then see how that goes and get into you also. And again, we're anticipating 3 variances granted, but we never know. So we'll see how that works out.
Have you explored the use of any stormwater management practices on your site yet?
Yes, we actually have an urban runoff plan being worked on by the engineer. He hasn't gotten us that documentation yet, but it's real close to being completed.
Are you going to tie into the stormwater or?
We are. Right now, we're showing a couple of catch basins in the paved parking lot, tying into the stormwater main in the street. And then he's got some additional things that he's working out right now that we don't have yet.
How much impervious area do you have as percentage of the site? A lot.
There's a lot. Over 40%.
There is over 40%. Is there a way that you can incorporate a catch basin type situation for the stormwater instead of tying into the city sewer, Chris? Is that a possibility even?
It really depends on the site. I mean, small enough sites with poor soils, yeah, I mean, can use dry wells, but
Dry wells on the green space.
yeah, but Spring Ave too. I'm just thinking in my
Yeah,
head, right?
it's a little steep in
Probably
the
got some
back.
shallow groundwater. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really depends
yeah,
on the
it's not a
site.
canal right there almost. Okay, thank you. Let's see if anybody in the public wants to speak on this. Is there anyone?
Somebody back there?
No. Okay, so,
Back there?
all right.
Mike with me anyway.
There's nobody on.
You're too
That's what
big,
you
I
want.
can't
You
see
don't
you.
want focus.
So, all right, what's your pleasure here? We got a secret question,
Okay, I make a motion that we,
unlisted action.
unlisted action for seeker.
It is unlisted action.
It is
we have
unlisted,
a
so we,
secret
a
motion?
negative.
One at a time.
I missed it. What?
I was just making a motion that we
Declare it.
declare this an unlisted motion under seeker.
I'll second that. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously.
So now do we have to declare it negative or it's just done?
Yeah, as far as application
Unlisted,
completeness, Eric, so we're missing zoning,
No.
right?
Right,
Yeah.
but remember,
Unlisted still requires a determination.
Yeah,
I
he was
feel-
just about to make.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead, Chris.
I'm sorry. Jim.
No, it's all right. It's fine.
you have the ability to issue a determination on seeker tonight. In
Okay.
terms of their application completeness,
If you feel you have enough if you believe that you have enough information to make a seeker determination, you can do so.
Yeah, I'd like to move to give this a negative declaration or seeker.
I second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries unanimously. Then you had more, Jim, you were saying?
Yeah, so with regard to application completeness, it looks like we have some variances to get yet.
Right.
It looks like there's some crossover between the latest submission and
The,
what you could have
the
actually
need,
put to the public.
the need for variances isn't a factor in terms of the applicant's application. Right. It's a result of the review, but
Right.
the application that they've submitted does have a number of components that staff feel is sufficient for general notion.
Then I'd like to make a motion to declare this application complete.
Second,
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries unanimously.
okay.
That was easy.
So I make a motion that we have him for a public hearing at our April meeting after he's been to ZBA in April, hopefully.
No, did we decide he's not going to be able to get on the next agenda?
Can they just do
Well,
it when
the-
ready type thing?
There's a number of ways you guys can approach this. Obviously, I think the design hinges on their getting a variance. So if for some reason they don't get their variance, then I would assume that the design will change. So you guys have, you have conditioned in the past on, obtaining the necessary variances. So I mean, if you're wanting to schedule the hearing, why don't you ask the applicant how they would prefer to go about it? But suffice to say is you guys gotta see that, or ensure that the applicant gets their ZBA run, produces their urban runoff and control plan for the city engineer.
So we could adjourn it to the March meeting, and if he's not able to get what he needs by then, it would just go to the April meeting. Is that correct?
You would still be within 62 days.
Right.
Schedule a hearing in April. April, March.
March, but
April.
even if it goes to April, it'll still be within the 62-day window. So if he doesn't have what he needs,
Jim, can you speak in the mic?
sorry,
Well,
if
that's
he
what
doesn't
I,
have what he needs by March, even if we go to April, so we would just table it, go to April.
They usually
That's what I was just
It'd still be
doing last
within
night.
the 62 days.
Just kicks out.
Would you prefer to schedule it for April
I
or
prefer,
or
why,
March? If he can make it, if not, it will go to April.
well, I thought Eric said that he's too late to do the March CBA.
Well, he's going to talk to Angela, see if she,
My feeling is that she's not going to be able to accept another application.
Why don't you
But-
just make it
Can
for
I get
April? Let's
scheduled
go
through an
for it.
administrative
trying to
make a
do.
motion next
April?
month
Yeah.
Yes,
without him
so,
even showing up.
No,
This could
like-
just be added through an
Yeah,
administrative
so
item
you
next
can,
month. for
you
the
can
hearing.
address hearing through administrative items Chris was just talking to me about, right? And that has in the past happened where you had reached the 62-day mark, but in our code, it states that if this board and the applicant are both in agreement on extending the review, then that may be done so.
The applicant can always consent to an extension.
Okay. What's the motion?
I make a motion that we have our public hearing in April
Second.
after the ZBA.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. And just
See you
to
in April.
let you know, I'm in favor of the April meeting. That gives us time to get everything in order,
Ah,
have a
okay.
public hearing and get approval all at one
Spoke
time.
up Sooner. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Is there
you.
any other business to come before the planning board?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second? Discussion? All in
Yes,
favor?
discussion.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah.
Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.
Mr.